On Saturday, the Northern Territory government changed hands for only the second time since 1978. It was predicted the election would be decided in Darwin, but it was Indigenous voters in remote communities who delivered the Country Liberals victory. Tonight, we meet the architects of this resurgence and learn just how the bush was won. After 11 years in the wilderness, victory for the Country Liberals on Saturday night was sweet.
Territorians voted for change and they voted for a better future.
But it was a win unlike any other in this Conservative Party's history because it was delivered not by public servants in Darwin's northern suburbs, but by Indigenous voters in the bush.
We will bring the Territory together again. No Berrima line. We're all in this together, all of us, no matter where you live.
But who masterminded this bush coup? For years, the member for Breitling, Adam Giles, has been waging a behind-the-scenes campaign to reposition the Country Liberals and win over Aboriginal people.
There has been a breakdown in those relationships by the CLP over a number of years in the bush, and I think for the past 5 to 7 years we've really started to build bridges and develop those relationships.
You know, the total derision on people's faces when they heard that Adam was driving around in remote communities talking to people. They just couldn't believe it. Oh, some blow-in sort of pretend blackfella from Sydney having the audacity to get out there, well, we'll show him, you know, we know Aboriginal people are only interested in Labor. Well, that's not the case.
You got one as well? Oh, no worries.
Adam did that. He managed to pull the CLP, the Conservative right, into the left, and he stole our ground, something that has always aggravated me and made me angry. But look, good on him.
The Country Liberals' attack on Labor's bush base was fought on two fronts: policy and personality.
People responded to a solid policy platform that represented their interests and views. And you know, we worked to create those connections, provide the logistical infrastructure, connect up the relationships, identify good candidates, make sure that the resource and logistics were all in place, and that all culminated at 6 o'clock last Saturday night.
We were caught napping, you know. I think individually, as members who held those seats, we've got to take a big responsibility for that.
For anyone to believe that the Aboriginal vote is tied to one party now, I think is completely wrong. And the fact is, they're not idiots. They're not people who can be sort of dragged around by the nose and the puppets of a particular party.
The Country Liberals have taken a purposeful decision to decentralise services.
The Country Liberals say they travelled the Territory and heard a consistent complaint that Labor policies had stripped Indigenous people of local decision-making power.
Morning, guys. How you going?
Minister Rob Knight's super shires turned out to be his and Labor's undoing.
There were many community government councils that were in trouble, and we needed to fix that. But we went to a completely Conservative right agenda and removed that local autonomy, and that came back and bit us.
Work together, that's what we need. We've just had enough with leaning against.
The new government's popular solution is to develop regional councils where communities are ready to take back control.
The reason that I'm very supportive of a regional council model is it allows us to invest back in their economy. It allows us to give people their voice back.
Intervention was brought in by Labor government. Labor government brought the intervention.
The intervention was an issue for candidates on the hustings, with a confusing picture painted for voters about who now owns this once Liberal government policy.
And Trish Cross and Mob, they supported it.
No more intervention.
Some believe the intervention and its Labor replacement, Stronger Futures, played into the feeling of Bush disempowerment.
People are still hurting from the intervention in 2007.
Mel, how do you do?
And if you ask them about Mel Bruff, they don't remember Mel Bruff, but they certainly remember Jenny Macklin.
Jenny. Very nice to meet you.
And that Warren Snowden and Trish Crossons are aiding and abetting a minister who just doesn't listen.
And do you think I'm going to give this land up to the government for nothing?
The task of organising logistics for this bush assault fell to the unlikely head of the Country Liberals Bush Seats Committee, Dave Tollner.
Oh, look, I remember sitting in the Parliament being belittled by Labor, them sort of sitting there saying, oh, you're a big redneck, what would you know about Aboriginal people? And
Dave Tollner says it was recruiting star Indigenous candidates like Larissa Lee in the seat of Arnhem that made the difference in this election.
Her father is the late Robert Lee, and she's a very cultural woman and very well connected in those communities.
But many would also describe Larissa Lee's opponent, Malarndirri McCarthy, as having the same sort of cultural connection.
No, I don't think Malarndirri, with all due respect, has quite the same cultural connection that Larissa Lee does in any way, shape or form. Her father did ceremony right across Arnhem Land.
Criticise people because they can't speak language. My mother got taken away.
I think the personal insults about people's colour, who was traditional, who's not.
My auntie was too, mate. That's no excuse for me.
It is absolutely irrelevant. I think to see the personal insult, Aboriginal against Aboriginal, and that hostility was yeah, look, I found it sad.
And as soon as the show came in, they closed everything down. So now he's just sitting down doing nothing. Yeah.
With the campaign now over, Terry Mills has already headed out bush to meet the voters who made him Chief Minister. The challenge for him now is to deliver on the new deal he's promised Indigenous people. No easy task when money is tight.